A lot of this, to me, is starting to sound more code for, like, humble. He needs to humble himself.
And maybe Shedeur Sanders is arrogant or brash. The NFL will humble you.
But it's the same dude that stood up there after the bowl game and they asked him all these questions, or before the bowl game, they asked him all these questions, and he like, my teammates up here too. Why y'all just talking to me? It's the same dude at the combine that they say, who you want to throw to, and he named every Colorado receiver. But you want to come into the meeting because he's stepping in there, he got money, he got any car he want, his dad is wealthy, everybody cool. I don't need y'all. I don't need y'all.
Well, now tuned in to the Dark Times channel.
And so here we go again, back with another one. Welcome back to the Dark Times channel. And so I want to go ahead and touch on Shedeur Sanders a little bit more in this particular video, because people around the NFL and people within sports media are starting to react to a lot of these anonymous reports that Shedeur Sanders has character concerns.
I'm trying to remain composed and not really be as angry as I want to be. I'm fuming inside right now. What is he supposed to be?
Insecure.
As a quarterback entering the NFL, you can't be insecure and succeed as a quarterback in the NFL. You can't have doubts about your abilities and be successful as a quarterback in the NFL. If I know that, every single executive, even Mr. Shine, whatever his name is, you understand, himself, knows you have to have confidence.
And so Stephen A. Smith is absolutely correct. I don't care how much God-given ability that an individual has. Without the belief in something, without believing that you can do a thing, it's going to be nearly impossible to do that thing. And like Stephen A. Smith alluded to, this is something that scouts know. This is something that general managers know. This is something that players playing youth football should know. It should be being instilled in them as we speak. Anybody that's going to do something or set out to do something, if you don't believe that you can do it, then you might as well not even do it at all.
We ain't going to do it right. Let's not do it at all.
You might as well just quit while you can, because you're just wasting your time. And it's up to the parents, and a father in particular, to instill confidence in his son. And that's exactly what Deion did since day one.
Who are you?
Deion Sanders, starting quarterback for Jimmy Christian.
Are you good?
I'm not good. I'm great. Make them remember your name, bro.
He's done nothing wrong. So why are we having this conversation about his character? I'm gonna tell you why. Because you got people hating on his daddy.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
And they want any excuse that they can come up with. And let me remind America why Deion Sanders, we gonna say this. This is why Deion Sanders is hated by some people, because he was the greatest. And he told you so. And then went out there and showed you show. And you were helpless to do anything about it.
And so once again, Stephen A. Smith is right on the money. Being so-called black and being talented and being confident, borderline cocky about it, it's a gift and a curse at the same time. Because on one hand, it'll elevate you to the stratosphere. If you're able to be confident, if you're able to have success in whatever field, and you're able to talk that talk and walk that walk, people want to see that. People are entertained by that. But then on the other hand, you'll have a completely different segment of society that'll see that, and they want to watch you fail. They can't wait till you slip up. They can't wait to see you lose. But either way, everybody's watching. And so that's why I say it's a gift and a curse, because on one hand, you got people rooting for you. And then on the other hand, you got people rooting for your demise and rooting for your downfall. But that's a blueprint that Deion Sanders was well aware of when he came up with Primetime. He knew it was going to make him more money because he knew he had the skills and the talent to back it up. And he learned it from Muhammad Ali. People loved Muhammad Ali. But then on the other hand, people hated Muhammad Ali for the same reasons that I laid out. Same deal with Floyd Mayweather, Money Mayweather. Nobody tuned in except me, because I'm a boxing fanatic, or at least I used to be. Nobody tuned in to watch Floyd Mayweather fight. But people tuned in for Money Mayweather. Yes, they did.
I think Shedeur Sanders' security makes a lot of people insecure, no question. I think Shedeur Sanders realizing, wait a second, I've made money before I got into the NFL. Wait a second, my pops has already taught me about the value not only of money, but the value, most importantly, of myself. Shedeur Sanders has realized, wait a second,
Who are you to dictate how I should feel, how I should think, how I should act, and how I should move?
And that's a problem for a lot of people. There's two groups of people that people are generally uncomfortable around, and that's people with a lot of money and a lot of access, and then people without money that don't care about money. Those are generally the two groups of people that people are uncomfortable being around. And that's why oftentimes companies won't hire individuals that are perceived to be overqualified, because that particular company or that business, they want you to need them. They want you to want them. They want you to depend on them on some level. And if they look at your resume and they know that you're qualified to work at NASA, but you're applying at Kinko's, they want nothing to do with you.
He loved the game. He didn't need the league, but he loved the game. So if you don't need the league, but you love it, you passionate about it, why does that matter?
It matters at the quarterback position. It just does, regardless of.
I don't think so.
Absolutely.
But you see,
because exactly what you said, guys. Like whether you got to think about the owner's perspective, man. They're paying a ton of money. They're going to spend a high draft pick. Hopefully, if Shedeur goes in the first round, because I do think he's got the first round talent. Now he's got some room to grow. But if you're spending that kind of capital and you have 4 years, why would you, if there's other people in the same thing, I can't get with that. I can't get with, I don't need the NFL. Okay, that's great. You don't.
So what about
but you want the NFL because you're following in your dad's footsteps.
What about the Manning family? They didn't need football. And they say we're going hurt, we're not going hurt. We doing this, we're not doing that.
Yeah, and I don't agree with that whatsoever. I don't think you should let the process play out. Now, I like it's his dad and it's his dad. Like,
but I'm saying, if I sit here, because you say you don't like that, but if I sit here and we just start going through our phones and go to Google and we start looking up players that come from money that don't need the league.
And so absolutely, there's a long list of NFL players and quarterbacks in particular that didn't need the league. Patrick Mahomes, dad was a professional baseball player, didn't need the NFL. The Mannings, dad was a professional quarterback in the NFL for several years, didn't need the NFL. And there's a lot of different quarterbacks that have come through the NFL that grew up pretty privileged. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that they had two parents that could provide over and above their needs, and they were able to go to all the different quarterback camps and travel around the country, get the best coaching. And they didn't need the NFL, not monetarily, but they wanted it. Two things can be true. You can not need something, but still want it. And in my opinion, it's even more impressive when you do have somebody like a Shedeur Sanders that grew up wealthy, grew up with a father that could provide over and above their needs, get them anything they ever imagined. And you're still putting in the work, managed to stay out of trouble and all the things and all the pitfalls that come along with a young kid having access. And so, like I said, in my opinion, if anything, that's even more impressive. But there's one more clip that I want to show here. And this clip right here is probably the most telling clip of them all. I'm going to go ahead and let it play, and then, of course, I'll come back and chime in.
I'll give it a story for him. I met with the general manager at the NFL Combine getting ready for the draft, right? Y'all know what it is. It's like 11 o'clock at night. You go into the room. So it's the GM. It's the head coach. I meet with the GM. I'll keep his name anonymous for now. I meet with the general manager of a team, and he's asking me, so Acho, tell me about your parents. I'm like, they've been married. They would have been married. They've been married 31 years now, if it was 13 or some years ago. They've been married 31 years now. What do they do? I'm like, my dad has his PhD in psychology. My mom has her doctorate in nurse practitioner. He's like, okay. He's like, what's the hardest thing you've ever been through in life? Any deaths, any tragedies, any this, any that? I'm like, not really. I'm like, I've never drank, never smoked. I was like, I had to that was pretty tough. And Kylie's like, okay. He was like, any other tragedy? You grow up homeless, grow up in the streets. I'm like, nah. I mean, we started off, lower middle class. When my dad got his PhD, worked his way up, came from Nigeria with nothing. He's like, okay. He's like, okay, I don't know if you'll be great for our team, but you'll make a great leader of men one day. Nice to meet you. And I was like, oh, that's Nat. Like, he told me that.
This happens these kind of conversations happen all the time.
Essentially, he was like, oh, bro, like, you ain't been through nothing.
And so, like I said, this is very telling right here. Very telling. Because notice how he said that coach said that he would be a great leader of men one day, but he wasn't a good fit for their team. I thought that's what all teams wanted. I thought all teams wanted a leader of men. At least that's what they say publicly. But privately, they don't want that. They don't want that. They want guys in there that are going to get that first $1 million check and spend it so fast, spend it on jewelry, spend it on cars, spend it on whatever, and have them right back in another destitute situation in which they could keep banging their heads for money. They don't want some player that's going to get his first contract and spend it wisely, like this former player right here that snuck in the cracks, got his first NFL contract and put that towards a medical degree. and now he's a brain surgeon. They don't want guys like that. That's an anomaly. And I guarantee you that's something that'll probably never happen again. And so Shedeur Sanders, being who he is, talking how he talks, wearing what he wears, it's a problem for a lot of people, and it rubs people the wrong way, and general managers and scouts in particular. And I'm quite sure in some of these interviews, Shedeur Sanders, being his father's son, he might be purposely putting out a certain kind of energy, kind of telling teams not to draft him, telling them in so many words, or not telling them in so many words, hey, you don't want to draft me because I don't want to be here. And I can see him doing that with Tennessee. Tennessee in particular, I think with that fan base, like I've said before, that's a problem. That's a problem for Shedeur. If Shedeur goes to Tennessee, won't be good. Won't be good for either parties, because I don't think they would want him there. I don't think that coaching staff would want him there. I don't think that ownership would want him there. And then the Tennessee fans, that's a whole nother story. And so like I said before, I could see him trying to make a play to put himself in a position to be drafted by the Giants or to be drafted by the Oakland Raiders. Or there could be another team, but there's certain teams, for the reasons that I just laid out, it just won't be a good fit for him. And so it could be all a game when it comes to Shedeur Sanders and Deion Sanders for that matter. They could be doing this on purpose and putting out certain kinds of energy with certain organizations to make sure they don't draft him. And some of this could be stemming from that. Maybe he did want to come across as arrogant to certain GMs or certain coaches just so they wouldn't draft him. He's like, okay, I am who you think I am. And he goes into that particular meeting acting a certain way. Could be the case, but we're going to find out here shortly. The draft is right around the corner, and we're going to see where everybody ends up. But go ahead and chime in below. Let me know how y'all feel about this particular video. And as usual, peace and chaos.